All right, it looks like we are going live. Hello and welcome everyone. I'm keeping my voice down just a little bit. I'm in the restaurant here in the morning at the Westin Hotel Resort and Spa in Carlsbad, where later on today I'll be delivering an Integrity Game keynote after 2 Integrity Game workshops and prior to 2 Integrity Game workshops. So I'm fortunate enough to be working with the good folks at Ceramic Pro, who are holding their first ever Elite Dealers Conference here in Carlsbad. And it started off where they asked me to do the keynote speech. And then when we were talking about the keynote and the audience and the messaging, they then asked, hey, can I lead 2 workshops before the keynote and 2 workshops after? There's 4 workshops on a rotational. So I'm going to hold down one of the keynote, one of the workshops and deliver the keynote. It's going to be a fun day for the Integrity Game. But what we're here today to talk about is Get a Clue in 52 for coaches, myself included. The Get a Clue in 52 series is a tips book, a series of tips books. So the first one that I wrote in 2019, I did a second edition of it in 2020. It had 5 categories. Well, all of them have 5 categories. The first edition had marketing, sales, communication, networking, and accountability. Then the next version of Get a Clue in 52 was an entrepreneur edition. And that was, let's see, we got somebody coming in. Hello, Sue. All right. Very cool. Hello, Sue. Nice to see you. Good morning. It's an earlier start time today. And the reason it's an earlier start time today is because I have a keynote and workshops to facilitate today. And that's the environment that I'm in. So back to letting people know what's going on. The Get a Clue in 52 book series is tips, right? So 5 categories and at least around 10 tips in each category. And then we find a way to get an extra 2 in there so that we have a year's worth. And it's just, for me, it's a fun and legitimate way to be available online every week. And it's also, getting me content populated onto my social media channels and on. There's a lot of benefits from this, and I hope that you get something out of it as well. So the first edition was just Get a Clue in 52, a guide to personal expanding self in business, right? Anybody could really benefit from that. And then the next edition that we did for Get a Clue in 52 was an entrepreneur's edition, and all 5 categories were related to being an entrepreneur, like personal branding and business acumen and business ownership, leadership and influence, and work-life balance. So 52 tips across those 5 categories. And that was co-authored with a client and good friend of mine, Vipul Dayal. So tip of the cap and shout out to Vipul. And then that leads us to this edition right here, the third kind of version of Get a Clue in 52 is for coaches, myself included. And largely, I had a lot of choices on what kind of a Get a Clue in 52 book I would write for 2023. And I was thinking a lot about human resources stuff. And there's several books that can be written about human resources tips. But I decided on coaching because I found myself last year getting involved in nonprofit organizations that are supporting the practice building for coaches. So first of all, the California Coaches, that was started in Santa Cruz by Kimberly Arago. We met, she invited me to join the group. I joined the group, joined a mastermind. She invited me to the board, and then she stepped down from the board. And next thing I knew, I became executive director of California Coaches, and then facilitated a merger that we're very close to completing with the Professional Coaches Alliance down here in San Diego. But it used to be San Diego Professional Coaches Alliance. They got rid of the San Diego part because the mission is to grow and to be regional, national, maybe even international at some point. So even Sue, all the way in Australia, you can join the Professional Coaches Alliance right now and start to integrate and interact with other coaching professionals that are working on growing their practices. We don't compete with like International Coach Federation that wants to train coaches on the skills of coaching. What we're here trying to do anyway is create an ecosystem that coaches can come to for vetted, reliable, trusted resources that will help them build their practices. So what I'm doing on a weekly basis here is for the coaching industry. It's my give back to the industry that got me to where I am today. I'm enjoying a very, very, very good life right now. It's a lot of fun. I'm going to have a lot of fun today delivering 4 workshops that sandwich my Integrity Game keynote. But how did I get to the Integrity Game and get in this position at all? It's because I had to, get my bumps and bruises and lumps building my practice as a coach. So that's, myself included. That's the important thing that I want everybody to understand is that I'm writing this book for coaches, but I'm really writing to myself as well. It's very fun to me that most of the work we do in our lives is somehow a reflection of the work we need in our lives, right? And so I'm very vulnerable about that. There's a lot of things in this book that I'm still struggling with or laughing at myself about or reflecting on. So I hope you guys get all of that. It's a humility piece, even though I'm out here leading with my vulnerability. But, I'm either guilty of or embarrassed by or challenged by so many of the things that I have actually written in this book, but I want to, acknowledge the place I'm at in my career and give some sort of give back. And 2023 is the year that I'm positioning myself as a contributor to this profession. People that want to become a coach, get good at coaching, build a coaching practice, put coaching on their menu in addition to other things, and really enjoy this lifestyle. I'm here to support you. So as a matter of review, the 5 categories in this book are self-promotion, which we're in right now. Then we're going to move on to enrollment engagement. Then we're going to get into motivation, then accountability, and then finally 12 tips to close out the book on practice building, the 12 accountabilities that I believe we need to address and need to meet. The argument is if your business isn't growing or experiencing pain on a regular basis, it's one of 12 accountabilities that we can perform a diagnostic on and find the holes in the bucket or the pain points or the bottlenecks or whatever you want to call it, right? All right, so having said all of that as an overview, let me go ahead and review some of these tips. Of course, let me get my banners going. Welcome to Get a Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included. By now, the book's dedicated to Marianne and the kids. Nothing happens without Marianne and the kids. I'm so fortunate with my wife and kids. Unbelievable. I want to give a shout out to Troy Hoffman, who wrote the foreword for this book. He's a founder. He's working with entrepreneurs. He started his own company. Of course, he's the founder of Simplurus and a couple of other organizations that are growing. And if you need somebody really reliable, that trustworthy, dynamic, passionate about launching, scaling, growing businesses, Troy's a really good guy to get a hold of. Tell him Kluby sent you. And I'm grateful that he took the time to write the foreword for this book. He knows a lot about personal professional growth, grew up in it. And for him to take the time to write the foreword means a lot to me. And then tip number 1 in the self-promotion section was to start calling yourself a coach. We got to start somewhere, and you got to embrace that identity. But tip number 2 is only call yourself a coach when it's appropriate and relevant and when the other person really cares. I remember when I was so excited about learning how to be a coach that I would tell anybody, and I failed to censor myself for viability. Like, do they care? Are they interested? Am I off-putting, right? My excitement, I'm a coach, I can do this. This is great. You got to check this out. Like, you should make sure people want to have that conversation first. So I'm laughing at myself there. Anyway, we continue. Tip number 3, don't just call yourself a coach. Again, I always talk about this Kluby snack when people put the word just in front of something. I got a text message from a family member of mine yesterday. Put the word just in front of her expression. It's like, oh no, here goes the loneliness. I know what I'm seeing there in just, but do I take the time to tell this to the person? Like, your use of the word just there, what does that mean? And now I'm in a lonely world trying to explain this to people. But if you're on this call or watching this recording, you want to be careful about language. You pay attention to the power of language. And if I'm just a coach or just call yourself a coach, the word just is very limiting. Watch out for your use of the word just. And then, of course, I believe that if all we ever do is coach, we're going to have an income earning hobby rather than a business. We could build it to a practice, but we're going to have a hard time calling it a business if the only thing on our menu is coaching. It's going to be difficult, not impossible, but difficult. We'll expand on that later on in the year as we progress through these tips. So tip number 4 was stop calling yourself a coach along those lines. Like, I'm a service provider or I'm a personal professional growth specialist. I say that I'm a soft skills guy. Right. I want coaching to be one thing on my menu in addition to other ways that I can solve that problem. I believe that we're always more than a coach because we're so many things before we become a coach. And if we get good at coaching, we will become so many things in addition to being a coach, author, speaker, trainer, consultant, etc. And so tip number 5 in this section was get super honest about your why. And I love this Kluby snack that because every other answer to any other question depends on our honest answer to questions of purpose. And purpose is the first point on the 10-point integrity game model that I'll be talking about later on today here at the resort and the conference. Now, the truth is we become a coach either because we want to make money either in addition to or in place of how we currently make money. If we don't get honest about the value that we're providing and the exchange of value that we're seeking, right? And that part, at least part of our intention. I know I want to help people. I know I want to set my own lifestyle. I know I want to, whatever. All of that's valid and true. But if we don't acknowledge and get honest about our intention and our need to earn an income from coaching and have an exchange of value and be compensated for the value that we bring, it's going to dilute all of our self-promotional efforts. We're not going to be honest, bold, fearless, and specific and succinct in our messaging, right? It's I cringe a little bit when all I hear people doing to promote themselves is saying, I love helping people. I love helping people. I love helping people. It's not enough. Everybody wants to help people. Why else are you coaching? Because you want to make money helping people, and you deserve to make money helping people. You got to find a way to own that and be honest about that. And the truth is, we all want meaningful work with a monetized skill set that allows us to be ourselves and call our own shots. Everybody wants that, but monetized skill set is what the California Coaches, Professional Coaches Alliance, and me, that's what we're concerned about. Coaching is such an amazing set of skills. What a shame if not monetized. It's okay if you want to volunteer and give some away and do some pro bono work, as I always do. As a matter of fact, nobody hires me without getting 2.5 hours of free coaching first. So I understand the idea of helping people, being service-oriented, being selfless, humble, all of those things. But at the end of the day, we're going to have a hard time growing a practice, growing a business if we can't get honest about the income part of it and our need, our desire, our deservedness in making money, right? So then get super confident about your what was tip number 6. And at some point, what we're talking about here is not self-promoting at all, other than promoting what our solutions are to your problems, your situation, right, etc. So I love this quote here, that we must welcome the transition from self-promotion to solution promotion, and focus on solutions. What's the what, and get that into our self-promotion. So I'm not promoting Jeff Klu back. I'm promoting the integrity game, which is the solution to culture or resilience or any of these problems that individuals, teams, and organizations have out there. Now, tip number 7 is get this is for the HR people out there, get professionally intimate with your who, right? And this is something that I'm going to be talking about this morning at the workshops that I'm leading later today, is know your customer. Who is your customer? What do they think about? Where do they go? What groups do they join? What websites do they visit? I mean, I'm going to be talking about 12 social media platforms, but which of those social media platforms of 12, which of those social media platforms are your customers on regularly, right? Rather than spraying and praying on all 12, I'd rather pick the 1 or 2 that I know that my customers are most likely to be on. Are your customers a Facebook person? Are they a Twitter person? Are your customers more likely to be a LinkedIn person or an Instagram person or a Pinterest person? There's subtle differences among these social media platforms, and knowing which one to self-promote on should have a relationship to where our customers are most likely to be, right? So we can get more detailed on getting intimate with your who. The more effort you make to know who your target customers are, the better your choices are going to be, and your decisions will be in your self-promotional choices. And that got us to a big deep breath, right? That got us to last week. Forget your how. There's a lot of research, or not research, but literature or content out there about sell benefits, not features. Benefits, not features. So if you're ever talking about features, make sure you infuse that with a discussion of benefits. Everybody's favorite topic, everybody's favorite radio station that they're dialed into, WIIFM. What's in it for me? So the features and the how it works and the proprietary this and the secret sauce and the painstaking hours that I took to put the proprietary thing together and the double over under and the widget and forget it. People don't care, right? What they care is, how will that help me? What do I get out of that, right? So we got to be focused on those things. And again, if we're not honest about, back to being, honest about our why, if we're not super honest about our why, we'll find ourselves like talking about our how the entire time instead of like, hey, look, this is what you'll get and this is why you're going to pay for it, right? And, not that succinct, you got to, of course, massage it a little bit. But anyway, that brings us to today. Finally, here we go. Today is tip number 9, and we got 7 reversible questions for networking. Remember, we're talking about self-promotion, and very often, especially before COVID, and it's starting to take place again, whether it's online or in person, networking events are and conferences and seminars and those places where there's a lot of people. Of course, that's one of the main places that coaches go to build their business and to network and meet people. So I want to give you guys a tip on that. If you find yourself networking, whether it's online, whether it's at a conference, in an evening networking event, maybe it's a lead passing or tip passing group that you're checking out, or whatever the case may be, or it could be at a ball game or something like that. Even if it's not an event specifically for networking, anywhere you happen to be. I might meet somebody at this restaurant this morning, and then I've got these 7 questions in mind, and they're reversible insofar as I need to have answers to them, and I need to be able to ask them. So like I need to be able to ask the questions and answer the questions. That's what we mean by reversible. So let me go ahead and read word for word, and we'll see if Sue, if you have any comments and any dialogue. First of all, before I start reading word for word, how are you, Sue? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm well. I'm well, thank you. Um,
Okay.
yeah, all good. All good.
Okay.
Just moved house, so yeah,
Oh no,
it's
that's
exciting new chapters.
well, you get to, it's like the blank canvas. You get to put everything and decorate and right.
Yeah.
Like I'm just, I saw your face shift there. You're like, oh yeah, I guess so. You're thinking, I'm not going to have the boxes and the, it's one of the 5 most stressful things in anybody's life is moving house, right? So I just tried to quickly get you to focus on the creative and the opportunity that you have for whatever that's worth. But I'm feeling that.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
feeling that. I'm
Lots
feeling
of
that
opportunity.
there you go. There you go. All right. So page number 43, if you're following along at home. And thank you for joining, Sue, to make it a little interactive. I was expecting, like, because I have a special start time, 7:30 a.m. my time. People are getting ready for work, dealing with kids or whatever. I didn't expect anybody to be on, but I have to be in the conference later at the normal time, 9. So I just wanted to stay consistent and get this session recorded and have it be in the corpus of recording. So I didn't expect anybody to be on. So I'm really grateful that you're here to make it a little interactive. But here we go. Tip number 43. I'm sorry, page number 43, tip number 9, 7 reversible questions for networking. Here we go. Networking is a huge part of self-promotion and arguably the best form of marketing for many reasons. The original Get a Clue in 52 had an entire section of 10 tips dedicated solely to networking. This tip is adapted from what originally appeared as tip number 7 in the networking section of the original Get a Clue in 52. The core tip is to memorize 7 sets of questions and consider them reversible. By making these questions reversible, I'm calling attention to the context of networking and the fact that these are both great questions to ask people you meet, and these are also the same questions you will want to develop and practice multiple ways of responding. Some of these questions showed up for us in tip 6 and tip 7, but here in tip 9, I will put categorical labels on each question on each question set that really help you prepare for networking situations. Keep in mind that the exact words you use to ask these questions are not as important as understanding what you are really asking, parentheses, or being asked, end parentheses. Also keep in mind that if you did a great job in tips 6 and 7, you already have several responses to these questions. Let's focus, calibrate, and add some categories that help us specifically in networking. Now, remember, real quick before I continue, remember tip number 6 was get confident about your what, the solutions, and tip number 7 was get professionally intimate with your who. So if you did a really good job in tip 6 and really good job in tip 7, now you're really, really in good shape. Here we are in tip number 9. So let me continue reading word for word. The following questions can be asked in many different ways. Below is the question, followed by a second way it could be asked, or how I might actually ask it myself when networking. So I want you to kind of hear my reading as if I'm speaking in a networking situation. Imagine yourself networking with me right now. We meet and here we go. What promises can you make? First of all, categorically, brand promises. Right? What promises can you make people? What is the greatest thing you can do for people? What is the most pain you know you can get people out of, or the most pleasure you know you can get people into? Next category, competitive advantages. Why do people choose you over your competition? What do you do better than other people who also do what you do? And what do you do that nobody else who does what you do does? Right? Next category is tangible benefits. What do people get when they work with you? What material items or tangible possessions or measurable results do people get when they work with you? Next category, emotional benefits. How do people feel when they work with you? How do you make people feel? What emotions or feelings can your clients expect to experience when working with you? Next category, evidence or credibility. By the way, evidence doesn't mean proof. It's just information that makes what you're saying more evident than it would be alone, right? Here we go. Evidence, credibility. How else can I learn more about you? How can you prove or back up your answers to the first 4 questions? Where can I find samples of your work, testimonials, or references? Qualified prospects is the next category, or qualified. It should be qualified, not qualified. It should be with a Y, qualify. Prospect, not qualify. It's not IED. It should be qualify. I love finding my own typos and spelling. Hey, Done is better than perfect. All right, here we go. What qualifies somebody to work with you? What makes someone an eligible or ideal prospect for you? What questions need to be answered for you to know if someone is an ideal prospect for you? How do you know if someone is either super, potentially, or not at all interested in what you offer? Next category is calls to action. What observable actions can you suggest to people you meet while networking? What different actions will you take or suggest when networking with someone who is super potentially or not at all interested in what you do? Do you have something to give or invite people to? Do you have a way of collecting information or appointment setting? All right, those are the categories and sample questions, the way I might ask them, right? Now, can you take time to come up with all the legitimate answers you have to the questions above? Can you memorize the 7 categories and practice ways of learning these things about the people you meet? Can you work to ask these questions first so you get to can you work to ask these questions first so you get to know who you are talking to before you are asked any of these questions? That's a really important point that I'm going to slow down before I finish. Well, I'll read it and I'll come back to. Finally, can you imagine how your answers to the questions above can help you in all forms of marketing, not just networking? See tip number 45. So a lot of what's in here, we're going to revisit in tip 45 in the last section of the book. But there you have it. Tip number 9. And this last thing that I want to mention or dive deeper on real quick is that these are reversible questions. So I've already made the point that I want to know how to ask these questions, how to get this information from the people that I talk to, but I also better be ready to answer these questions when they're asked of me. And the point that I want you guys to understand is, can I ask first? Right? The more I learn about somebody, if somebody says, what do people get when they work with you? I've probably got like 17 choices that I can answer there, but I'm going to pick from those 17s the ones that are going to be relevant to whatever I've learned about the person. So it's Stephen Covey that says, seek first to understand, then be understood. So you're really winning the networking game if you memorize these questions and you command them and you're comfortable that they'll be able to come out with whatever words are appropriate for you in the moment. Don't get worried on word for word. Don't sound robotic. Be genuine. Practice, really immerse yourself in these things so it's conversational, that's fluid, your attempt to acquire this information about people, right? What do they promise? What's their differentiation? What do people get? How does it make people feel? How can we learn more and get more credibility, right? What are the calls to action? How do we know what counts as a good client? So like without even looking at my book, I just went through that off the top of my head. I've branded it like onto my brain so that any situation I'm in, those are the lenses through which I view the world. I'm listening for these things. I'm observing for these things. And if I don't figure it out from observation, I can ask in a number of different ways with whatever word choices come to me in the moment. And that's what I want for you. But what this last point that I'm making is that you seek to ask these things first so that you acquire as much information as possible so that you're a lot more targeted, a lot more focused, a lot more connected when you choose from among all of your answers that you could possibly give to these questions. You choose the ones that person is most likely to be interested in. Again, kind of similar to tip number 2, only call yourself a coach when it's relevant. Well, among all the choices that you have to answer these 7 reversible questions, choose the ones that are going to be relative to whatever you found out about the person that you're talking to. So there you have it. That's tip number 9, a review of 8 tips. I mean, the review part of this is getting hefty now that we've got 9 tips down. So next week when we do tip 10, I'm going to review 9 tips. Maybe I'll be quicker about it. Maybe I won't. But I'm done with the reading and the intros and all of that good stuff. And now I'm just here for you, Sue. Do you have any comments or questions about Get a Clue in 52 for coaches overall, or the self-promotion section as a whole, or tip number 9 this morning specifically?
Sure. This tip in particular, as you were reading through it, what came to mind is, firstly, it helps to clarify what it is on your menu that might be able to help the person, like as you are networking, building that relationship. So you can narrow it down and be more specific about the solution that you can provide. It can also determine, is this someone you really want to work with too? You might get some responses to your questions coming up and you go, I'm not sure that this is someone I want to work with. Or you can frame your questions even deeper to start addressing that. From the other person's perspective, I think having these questions and answers ready also helps them to close out some of their, when we talk about sales, we talk about objections. And so it helps to close the loop in their own mind too. Are they likely to be someone who's going to be a potential client? And closes out some of the possible questions they might have. And so you're building that rapport, you're getting through some of those hurdles really quickly through these questions and answers, and building that relationship.
Yeah, we don't want oh, look, I'm real quick. You're right about that. Like there's two things. There's a comment that just came in, but I want to address what you've said. Let me just say hello, Abel. Thanks for joining. Yeah, the workshops will be fun indeed. If I am not having fun or helping people, finish my sentence, Sue, I am not interested.
Yep.
And if I'm doing both, you can't keep me away. So thank you, Abel. Appreciate you chiming in, my friend out there, my new friend. I just met him a week or two ago, who was referred to me by Jamar Williams. So Jamar, if you're out there, founder of Promo Drone, and I'm happy to be one of the advisors to Jamar. Promo Drone, providing some coaching and some communication stuff at a high level. He's really got some great momentum. So he introduced me to this high energy, really brilliant dude named Abel, who has a passion for PlayStation, and he saw that I had a senior software engineer from PlayStation as a guest speaker in my organizational communication class, and he wants an introduction. So, Abel, that introduction is on its way, my friend. Nice of you to chime in this morning. Thank you. Now, yeah, Sue, back to what you were saying. Efficient, right? Like, these questions help us kind of professionally not beat around the bush, right? Like think about it in networking situations, right? Everybody's networking because they want to network, right? So I always like cut through the stuff like in my I package a lot of my direct communication and like joviality, to soften the blow a little bit. But I'll say things like, "See, are you ready?" Like, "Hey, who's pitching who?"
Yeah.
Right. Did you know why you laughed? Why that was so funny? Because it's so true. And for you, like, it's rare for somebody to cut through that directly. I'm like, what? Oh, I thought I would do 17 minutes worth of posturing about what a lovely event and how nice it is to be here. And oh, look at the flowers over there. What a neat arrangement. No, I love helping people. And oh, I love helping people. And oh, I love helping people. And what do? Like, hey, how about who's pitching who? You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
Yep. Let's get to the point.
Yeah, I got 7 questions. Do you want to go first? Or you want me to go first? Yeah, and it can be that fun. Like, I don't like the word should, but it should be that fun, right? I mean, the personal and professional growth is hard enough. Growing a practice is hard enough. If we're out there networking, we don't want it to be, I mean, it's work, but you do the work of networking before you get to the networking event. The work of networking it's standing, not sitting. It's interacting with people, not sitting there with a drink, hoping people come to you. That's like the work in the moment, making eye contact and reading name tags and, understanding your posture and all of that and your positioning. There's so many tips that we know about networking, but most of the work of networking comes before the networking event. And I'm giving everybody seven tips worth of homework to do. Practice asking these questions and practice your answers to these questions. And so in my workshops, in my one-on-one coaching, in my retreats, in my meeting facilitations, and I make people exercise this and write this down. What are your promises to the marketplace? What are your competitive advantages, right? As a matter of fact, I've got, can I show you this? Why not? Let's preview this. Why not?
Go for it.
Well, no, you know what? I forget because I'm not on Zoom the way I do with normal screen sharing. It's not as fluid. But I was going to show you, and so you can, if anybody wants to get the slides, just the slide deck, the promptings from any of my marketing or networking workshops, just send an email and let's just go ahead and do it this way. Send an email to info@getaklu.net, and if you want any collateral, any like marketing material, like slides or infographics or anything that would help you and help you remember how to do this homework and how to prepare, for your networking endeavors, then go ahead. Oh, that's in the comments section. Let me put it on the banner. Make a banner real quick. Email info@getaklu.net. There we go. And show that banner. There you go. Any email you send to info@getaklu.net, just put in the subject line what you're asking for. If you want to schedule a one-on-one time with me, if you have not had them already, the world should know by now that I offer 2 complimentary coaching sessions to anybody that has not had them already. And when you normally you go to the website, you fill out a form and all of that, but anybody that's taking the time to be on this now, just go right to this link, meetme.so/getaklu. If you click that link to schedule, you'll get me for your first of 2 complimentary coaching sessions. If you go to the website and fill out a form, I'm going to read it, and I might send you to another coach that I've been working with that might be a better fit, or a more targeted or focused or niched fit for you on some level, or maybe we'll discover that together in this first meeting. But if you want to schedule time with me, I'm very easy to get a hold of. I'm growing and I'm getting busier and busier and busier, but I'm not so busy that you can't schedule with me right now if you think that I can make a difference in your world. So there's that. And then I also do want everybody to know about the Professional Coaches Alliance. It's very affordable, in my opinion. I'm not here to decide what your budget is, but in my opinion, it's a very affordable investment to make in being associated with a professional nonprofit organization whose mission it is to support coaches building their coaching practices. It's not just for coaches. It's also service providers for coaches, people that sell to coaches to help them build their practices. You might want to be a member or a biz builder member of Professional Coaches Alliance to give programs and workshops on a monthly basis that serve our members, on and on and on. So check out professionalcoachesalliance.com, see what is there waiting for you, and consider attending one of our events, and all the way up to joining and being a biz builder and being a board member and giving your whole life to the organization. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I was joking about that. So I was trying to make you laugh. I only got a little smile there. All right. I'm not sure what else to say. In past sessions, I've offered some promos and some freebies, but here we have a goal setting course. We have the 90-day challenge. First of all, here's information on $200 off. It's currently a $497 program. It's the Integrity Game 90-day challenge. We recorded all of it last year. We're going to do 12 or 13 new sessions this year. That's when the price is going to go up. But right now, get it while it's hot. $497, $200 off means $297 for an incredible transformational experience in the group coaching immersion. It's evergreen. It's, you get it and it's in there. Right. And then we also have the Smart Goal Setting course is $100 off, I think $297. So that makes it $197, or essentially $200 for the Smart Goal Setting course. But we're going to do on March 29th, we're going to do a free goal setting workshop on March 29th. It's going to be Wednesday. I think it's scheduled for 4 p.m. Pacific time right now. So that's a freebie, and we'll do a workshop, and we'll start rolling up our sleeves for Q2 goal setting. But it's there that you'll understand what values waits for you in this course overall. If you've been exposed to any of that, just take advantage of the code TIGVIP100 for $100 off of that. And then finally, the third thing that I'm promoting now, starting to promote it a little bit more, it's going to be more aggressive in Q2 and Q3, is online office hours, group mentoring. I do a free version Sunday night for my students at San Diego State, but I do a paid version as well, where there's 3 live sessions with me every single month, plus over 100 sessions in the archives. And we're offering 50% off of that right now. It's $100 a month. Right now, we're offering 50% off with you're probably going to have to email me a code email me to get a code on that one now that I'm reading this banner. So if you're interested in group mentoring, and Sue, I asked you to comment on the value of group mentoring last week, so I'm not going to ask you to do that again. I got to get moving and make my way towards the conference. But that's all I've got for today. And I just want to go ahead and say thank you, Sue, for being with me today to make it a little bit interactive. And thank you for those of you, Abel and others, that have taken the time to watch or comment or watch a recording in the future. This is Get a Clue in 52. We're doing it every single Friday. And for all of 2023, today was tip 9 down, 43 to go. And it's going to be a fun ride. And thanks to everybody to make sure. Thanks, everybody. I got to get going right now. I love you guys. We'll see you next week. Thank you. Bye, Sue.
See ya.